So again, we want to get to sleep on time. We also want to get outside very often, understanding that our skin is a solar panel. It's built to collect light. So there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. Ideally, you get outside as often as you can with as much of your solar panel exposed. And in doing so, you're being physically active, you're moving. And of course, you don't have to go to a Lifetime Fitness. You can do all this stuff in the comfort of your own home. And really, you could do it outside. And that's the best and the safest place to do that. And then also in kind of like that living well, we talk about oral health, it's a good dental care from a holistic dentist. We talk about chiropractic care from a qualified chiropractor to make sure your spine is in alignment and your autonomic nervous system is moving and balanced. And then I want to mention this final thing as regards to living well is that your environmental toxins. And we all know about things like lead and mercury and aluminum and all those other toxic metals. And we also mention EMF. We're very aware of the dangers and damages of cell phones and Wi-Fi and smart meters and all those things. And again, we've got pesticides and plastics. I mean, the list of chemicals goes on very long, but I do want to make sure everybody is aware that the single most dangerous environmental toxin to anyone is when they live in a water-damaged home or office or building, and that water damage has led to mold and mold mycotoxicity, meaning the mold releases these toxins in order to ensure its survival and how it impacts us. So let me say a couple more things about the mold. Again, mold from water damage. And again, you may not see the water damage. It may be seen, you can see it in your shower, your sink, or your toilet, but it may be under the sink of the shower or the toilet. It may be in a crawl space or on a wall. And the mold wants to survive. It releases toxins to kill off other molds and bacteria and insects and viruses and certainly humans. Now, the most common example of this is the mold penicillium produces a toxin that kills bacteria, and you may know that as penicillin. There is also a very well-known pharmaceutical called Cellcept, and Cellcept is an immunosuppressive. It suppresses your immune system. And it is so effective at suppressing your immune system that the pharmaceutical companies put it into a capsule. Again, the pharmaceutical is called Cellcept, and they give it to people who have organ transplants in order to prevent what's called a rejection, where the new host of that organ rejects the organ. So they take this product called Cellcept. And all Cellcept is mycophenolic acid that comes from mold. And it's so powerful, so damaging to the immune system, the pharmaceutical companies use it as a drug. So those are just a couple examples of how ravaging the mold mycotoxins are. So whatever your health conditions or concerns are, please consider how mold can impact those illnesses.
Wow, that is crazy. I remember we did one episode where we deep dive into EMFs in particular, and it's such an interesting kind of lifestyle thing to get into because you almost feel a resistance to it because it feels like there's so little that you can actually do in a world where we live with cell phones everywhere and Wi-Fi's everywhere. Like what practically can be done? And I almost think the same way about mold. I feel like I've been resisting talking about it, because I feel like, yeah, it might be important, but what do you do if there's mold? It's the only thing to do is move?
No, I mean, again, and let me say this too, is that, regarding EMF, regarding aluminum, regarding mercury, or even pesticides, none of those things are living entities. So lead and mercury and EMF are not conscious and thinking, I want to injure somebody in the vicinity. I want to, I'm lead and I want to kill the person who just swallowed me. They don't think that, but mold does. Now, of course, mold does not have the consciousness that humans do, but mold is a survivor. Mold has been here since before humans were here. It knows how to survive. It's very, very, very successful at that. So yes, there's things we can do about EMF. We can't totally avoid it. And there's things we can do about mold, and we can't totally avoid it. but we can always work to limit those factors. So we can choose to turn off our Wi-Fi at night. We can choose to not watch technology at night. We can choose to put the phone on airplane mode or get rid of the smart meter. We can choose to move out of a big city where there are towers all over the place. We can make those choices. I'm not saying it's easy, Casey. You and I both know that it's not. And again, there's a lot of other EMF mitigation strategies that people could do. I mean, there's silver canopies you can put around your bed, and you can put a paint on your wall that blocks EMF. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do. But again, as it relates to mold, some people's homes are so damaged and they are so symptomatic from it that the easiest, certainly short-term solution is to get out. It is to get out of the home while leaving all of your belongings, including your clothing, inside. So sometimes we've told people, here's what you're so sick. Here's what you're gonna not only do, but you're gonna need some support to do it because you're so brain fogged. You need help. So what we'd like you to do is there's a hotel that was built 4 months ago. It was just opened up, this hotel. And yes, it's got different environmental toxins in there, and VOCs and all these outgassing things, but at least it should not have much in the way of mold. And you're going to walk into that room, you're going to shower, and there is going to be a new pair of clothing, brand new clothing that you're going to now wear while you start the recovery process. So that's one possibility. Now, the other would be, of course, is that maybe you're not quite sick enough, and maybe, again, now you can stay in your home while you're making these decisions and look to find where the mold is coming from, and then to have a quality company remediate it. Again, it's not easy. It's time consuming. It's expensive. It is, by all definition, the rabbit hole, of going down. And another, I guess, Pandora's box, to use another metaphor. Again, it's something that is catastrophic. I think all people like you and I can do is open up people's eyes to the reality that no matter what your sickness is, it may be from mold, and you're best off to find out, again, if you're impacted. And there's home tests you can do. There's urine tests you can do on yourself. There's supplements you can take to bind onto these toxins. There's a lot of different possibilities that are there. But so Casey, I appreciate you letting me have the opportunity to talk about this. I know it's real easy to tell someone to take a pharmaceutical. It's real easy to tell someone to eat more seafood. It's real easy to tell someone to get better sleep or sunshine. But some of these other strategies, they can be more difficult, but they're important.
Yeah, it doesn't take away the truth, and people can decide what they want to do with that information. Maybe moving isn't the best thing to do right now, but they can keep it in the back of their minds, and the situation changes in 6 months or a year or something. But at least that way they have the knowledge and the information to do with it what they will, rather than just suffering needlessly. One last question on the mold, just based on your experience. I don't know if there's any way you could ever prove this one way or another, but just based on your experience, the people that you've seen and everything you've learned about mold in particular, what percentage of people in America would you say this is a factor that is more significant than people think? Are we talking 1% of the population? Is it 50% of the population? How pervasive is mold as a problem for people?
Again, I don't have any definitive literature. I can only tell you from my experience. And if I had to put a number on it, I would probably say 80 to 90% of people are impacted by mold. It could be cardiovascular disease. It could be brain disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, other movement disorders, tremors that people have. It could be fertility issues. It could be low libido. It could be erectile dysfunction. It could be gut disorders. It could be skin disorders, rashes. Could be brain fog, could be lethargy, could be weight gain, could be weight loss. So that's why I say whatever your health condition is, and I mean, would you say that 80 to 90% of Americans have some kind of health condition?
Oh, of course,
For
yeah.
sure, right? Right. I mean, everybody's got their something. And so if we're asking, okay, well, if pretty much everybody has got some form of sickness, again, whether they would say, well, it's not really a sickness, occasionally I get eczema, or I've got a little bit of arthritis, or, yeah, I feel fatigue, but everybody does, or my blood pressure is a little bit high. Again, I mean, we can make the case that mold is one of the contributing factors. And when we do everything else amongst eat well, live well, think well, our symptoms are likely to improve, but they typically will not be 100% improved. And the symptoms, the improvement is usually not a long-lasting thing. And it's really enlightening for me, because I think that, mold really ties it all in together. It really ties it all in together in the sense of why people are sick. And again, you've had a lot of clients where it's like, I'm eating all the right foods, I'm doing all the things you're telling me, but I'm